Hi, I'm Emily. I'm in my late 20s, living my dream as an architect. Just recently, I achieved what felt like my biggest milestone yet. I bought my first home. But it wasn't just any house. It was a charming, sun-soaked bungalow on the outskirts of town, a vision I had painstakingly crafted through years of sketches and sleepless nights. Last Sunday, I invited my dad, Jack, and my stepmom, Linda, over for brunch to show them the place. Despite the rocky history we shared, I wanted them to be part of this moment. As their car pulled up, excitement swirled inside me, but so did nerves. "Emily, this place is gorgeous," Linda exclaimed as they stepped inside, her eyes wide, taking in the open space. Jack gave a low whistle, his gaze sweeping over the exposed brick I had fought so hard to include in the design. "You've done well for yourself, kid," he said, pride evident in his voice. Their words warmed me, but there was something thick and unspoken in the air. Over brunch, the conversation naturally drifted to their lives. Their struggles with money seemed to overshadow everything, casting a slight shadow over what should have been a celebratory meal. I caught them exchanging glances when they thought I wasn't looking, glances that spoke of pride mixed with something darker. Envy, perhaps? Desperation. I tried steering the conversation to lighter waters, telling them about a community garden I'd recently joined. "That sounds lovely, dear," Linda said, smiling, but the smile never quite reached her eyes. "You always were one to put down roots," Jack joked, though there was a strange edge to his voice that made me uneasy. As we cleared the plates, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Nora, my childhood friend who now worked as a bank teller, congratulating me again on the house. I smiled and texted back quickly, unaware that Nora's role would soon become pivotal in unraveling a deception I could never have imagined. After Jack and Linda left, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. They had seemed happy for me, but beneath the surface, there was something I couldn't quite place. That unease only deepened later that week when, while sifting through my mail, I found an envelope addressed to Jack but sent to my house. My curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. My heart sank as I read the contents. It was a notice from a bank about a mortgage. But not just any mortgage, it was a remortgage on my house. Panic surged through me. I immediately called Nora. "Hey, I got something really strange in the mail. Can you check something for me tomorrow at work? It's about my mortgage." "Of course, Em. I'll look into it first thing," she replied, her tone serious. That night, I barely slept. My thoughts spun in circles. How could they do this? Why? The questions gnawed at me with no answers in sight. The next morning, Nora called. "Emily, you need to come to the bank. There's something you need to see." When I arrived, reality hit me like a freight train. Nora led me to her office, where she laid out the mortgage papers in front of me. My signature forged clear as day. "Your dad and Linda came in last week. I thought it was odd, but I didn't realize." Nora's voice trailed off as she handed me the surveillance footage, time-stamped from the previous week. There they were, Jack and Linda, standing at the counter, nervously signing the papers. The betrayal hit like a punch to the gut. In that moment, the fragile foundation of my family crumbled beneath me. Everything felt like it was falling apart. "I'm so sorry, Emily," Nora whispered, reaching out to squeeze my hand. Anger, hurt, betrayal, all of it boiled over inside me. But beneath it all, a steely resolve began to form. They may have forged my signature, but they weren't going to take my home, my dreams, not without a fight. It had been a long day filled with consultations, and as I sifted through the stack of mail that evening, one letter stood out. All the envelopes were addressed to me except for one. This one bore my dad Jack's name, yet it had my home address. My curiosity piqued. I slid the envelope open, and my heart sank. It was from the bank, paperwork regarding a remortgage. My mortgage remortgaged. Hands trembling, I read through the details, changes I hadn't authorized, decisions I never made. Panic and disbelief swirled inside me, but I needed clarity. I dialed Nora's number. She picked up on a second ring, her voice like a lifeline to my unraveling mind. "Hey Nora, it's Emily. Can we talk about something work-related? It's about my house's mortgage." "Of course, Em. What's going on?" she replied, her tone shifting from friendly to professional. I hesitated for a moment, but then dove in. "I got a notice about a remortgage, but I never made any changes. Can you check who authorized this?" The line was silent for a moment before Nora responded, her voice filled with concern. "I'll check on it and get back to you." Hang tight, okay. Thanks, I'll be waiting, I said, trying to steady my voice. The next day, Nora called with the news I had dreaded. Emily, the remortgage was authorized by a signature. Yours, apparently. Last Thursday. But I know your signature, and this didn't look right. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Can you hold on to those papers for me? I need to see them. I've already pulled them aside for you, she said, her voice a lifeline amid the storm of betrayal brewing in my chest. Armed with the knowledge of what had been done, I drove to my parents' house, my heart pounding in sync with the anger simmering just beneath the surface. The cool evening air did little to calm me as I knocked on their door. Linda answered, her smile faltering the second she saw my expression. Emily, what's wrong? Where's Dad? I asked, my voice steady though I felt the storm raging inside me. Jack joined us in the living room a moment later, his demeanor casual. What brings you here so late? I didn't mince words. Did you two take out a remortgage on my house? My voice was hard, my eyes searching theirs for any flicker of guilt. They exchanged a quick, nervous glance that they couldn't hide fast enough. What? That's ridiculous, Emily. Jack stuttered, his attempt at feigned ignorance clumsy. Linda's voice followed, far too calm. Honey, why would we do that? There must be some mistake. But the panic in her eyes had already betrayed them. There's no mistake. I've seen the paperwork signed with a fake signature. My signature. My voice rose with each word, the betrayal cutting through every layer of restraint. Jack's expression hardened as he met my gaze, the facade crumbling. We meant to talk to you about it, Emily. We're in a financial bind and thought. You thought you'd commit fraud under my own roof? I cut him off, my voice sharp, a reflection of the seeking hurt beneath. Linda's composure slipped, her hand reaching out. Emily, we just needed a little help to get back on our feet. We were going to sort it all out before you even knew. I trusted you, I said, the words laced with pain that cut through the anger. You were my family. Silence fell between us, the weight of their betrayal hanging heavy in the air. They had made their choice, and now I had to make mine. I walked out of their house with a heavy heart, every step severing the fragile ties that had once bound us together. As I drove away, the path ahead became clear. I had no choice but to fight back, not just for my house, but for my integrity. The betrayal, though bitter, only solidified my resolve. Knowing the truth wasn't enough. I needed undeniable proof to ensure they couldn't wriggle out of the consequences. I turned to the only person I trusted completely in this tangled mess, Nora. Nora, we need to prove they did this. Can we access any surveillance footage from the bank? I asked, my voice laced with a mix of determination and barely contained fury. I thought you might ask, she replied, her tone as serious as I'd ever heard it. I'll say it's part of a routine audit. No one will get suspicious. With Nora's help, we accessed the bank's surveillance tapes. The grainy footage wasn't ideal, the figures barely recognizable. Over the next few days, I poured every ounce of my technical expertise into enhancing the video footage. Frame by painstaking frame, I brought the figures into sharper focus. Slowly, the familiar profiles of Jack and Linda became unmistakable as they leaned over the counter, signing the documents that sealed their betrayal. The realization cut deep, the sting of their deceit sharp and unrelenting. I had them, caught in the act, their treachery laid bare for anyone to see. But as the evidence grew clearer, so did something within me. Confronting them directly felt too simple, too easy. They deserved more than a mere confrontation. They deserved to face the full weight of their actions. I made sure the evidence was rock solid, leaving no room for excuses, no space for manipulation. This proof was my shield, my weapon against any further betrayal. With the files secured and backed up in multiple places, I began planning my next steps. As I meticulously gathered my proof, fate wove its own narrative. Blinded by greed, Jack and Linda ventured into yet another financial escapade, a fraudulent investment scheme that promised high returns. Desperate to sustain their newfound lifestyle, they funneled all their ill-gotten funds into the venture. Within weeks, the scheme collapsed, and with it, their financial security evaporated. Their public exposure was swift and brutal. Friends and acquaintances, once cordial and supportive, turned their backs on them, repulsed by the web of deceit that had unraveled. The community I once feared would judge me instead rallied around me, offering support in ways that soothed the wounds inflicted by my own family. Meanwhile, Nora and I worked tirelessly to untangle the fraud surrounding my home. With her expertise and my determination, we traced every falsified document and unauthorized transaction. Together, we presented our findings to the bank, which acted swiftly to nullify the fraudulent mortgage. My ownership was legally reaffirmed, restoring not only my home but my sense of justice. With the legal battle settled, I made the painful but necessary decision to cut ties with Jack and Linda. Their betrayal was too deep, the trust shattered beyond repair. Instead, I focused my energy on my career and nurtured the relationships with those who had truly stood by me, like Nora, whose unwavering loyalty had been my guiding light through the darkest moments. In quieter times, I found myself reflecting on the ordeal. I had learned that trust wasn't something to be given freely, but a gift to be earned and cherished. The experience had shown me the strength of self-reliance and the power of standing firm in my convictions. One evening, as I stood on the rooftop of my newly secured home, overlooking the city skyline, I felt a profound sense of peace. The skyline stretched far and wide, a testament to resilience, both in structures and in spirit. I had risen above the toxicity that had sought to tear me down, and in doing so, I had not only secured my future but reclaimed my peace of mind. Life, like architecture, is about foundations. The strength of those foundations doesn't just lie in the materials used, but in the integrity of their construction. As the gentle breeze stirred the air around me, I knew that my foundations were stronger than ever. Now that Emily's journey has come to an end, I want to pose a question that may resonate with you. Do you believe cutting ties with family, regardless of their actions, is justified if it means protecting your own well-being and future? Emily made her choice, but what would you have done in her shoes? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts and experiences, so please share them in the comments below.